I played 1 year of high school football. There was a lot of testosterone flowing. Everyone was called by their last name: Thorne, Bailey, O'Brien. Me, I guess my last name was too ethnically diverse or too hard to pronounce. I became Gala. Then eventually, G-Man. I loved football, and I still do. I lifted weights during my study halls and pre-periods. I ate 2 lunches every day so I could get bigger. Yet I was never particularly fast or big. But I had instincts for the game. When I got on the field, I was aggressive. I would just throw my body around and be praised for it. Everyone would yell, "Yeah, G-Man," from the sidelines. And by the way, from what I now know about head injuries, I'm very glad I only played 1 year. Playing football is one of the only things that I can recall where being aggressive, competitive, and domineering actually gets you somewhere. Can you recall in your life where being aggressive, physically bigger, and competitive actually helped you thrive? My guess is that besides some sports and maybe a few other instances, most of the time we get by and even thrive by cooperating, by caring, and helping. Sports, and specifically football, is a good place to maybe get rid of testosterone and aggression. All the other things we do in our professional lives and in our relationships and in our many other roles revolve around us being able to compromise, communicate, and to be considerate, including courting. Has dominance and competition ever helped you find someone to love? I think of plenty of times when I was aggressive, and I'm not going to go into that now, but they didn't turn out too well. Even in football, you are expected to sacrifice your body for your team and be aggressive, yes, but only towards the other team. The survival of the fittest is a term I think we're all familiar with and was made famous by the naturalist Charles Darwin in the 5th edition of On the Origin of Species. Darwin, by the way, we can claim as one of our own. He was very much a Unitarian. In the evolutionary biological sense, the survival of the fittest means that organisms that are best adjusted and adapted to their environment will be the most successful. Those traits that they have will get passed on to the next generation, and so on and so forth. But in popular thought, we often equate fitness with health and strength. But in the balcony view of evolutionary biology, fitness is quite simply our ability to pass on our genes to the next generation. Over time, survival of the fittest has been misconstrued in our society. It has come to mean that the biggest, the strongest, and the most aggressive, and the most domineering are the ones that will survive. That was not what Darwin was saying. Brian Hare, an evolutionary anthropologist, and Vanessa Woods, a cognitive neuroscientist, write in their book, Survival of the Friendliest, how fitness came to mean being physically stronger and the willingness to fight and dominate. The survival of the fittest has become the basis for extreme views of the free market. It has been used to argue for the abolition of government and to judge groups of people as inferior and then justify cruelty. Probably the worst example of this is the eugenics movement of the early 20th century, which culminated in Nazis using survival of the fittest as part of their propaganda. Unfortunately, Darwin's phrase has been co-opted and used as an apologetic for a willingness to fight and socially dominate in colonialism, free market capitalism that removes all government regulations, and to judge certain groups of humans as inferior. Strength as domination and exploitation has become the core of our political and environmental crisis. We are facing increasing threats because of heedless and dangerous human domination and exploitation of nature and of other people. This misconstrued version of the survival of the fittest may be true for some species. I think of the dominant male ram that survives the butting of heads, and that's the one that gets to mate. But it is not always the strongest and the biggest that thrive and survive. It's sometimes the smartest and the friendliest that survive. As an example, how many of us here love dogs? Okay, many of us love, some are indifferent, right? Some are cat people, right? Dogs have an ingenious fitness about them. 20,000 years ago or so, when most humans were nomadic hunters and gatherers, a few wolves chose us. They were attracted to us, or maybe just our garbage and food scraps. The ones that were friendliest, the ones that were interested in humans, bred more. Their ears became floppier, their coats spotted, they became cuter. They became more socially intelligent as well, and were able to read our body language and intentions. In a sense, they really domesticated themselves. Current worldwide estimates of wild wolf populations are at 250,000. Domesticated dogs, on the other hand, the ones that became kinder, gentler, cuter, and more cuddly, are estimated to be at 1 billion. This is a clear case of the survival of the friendliest. Another example, one of our closest relatives, bonobos. They use girl power to make themselves more friendly. Females have, over time, selected less aggressive males to mate with. Male bonobos don't normally kill each other like chimpanzees do. Because of females being in charge, bonobos regularly share food with strangers and like to cooperate. If a large male bonobo were to try to dominate and be violent to one of the female leaders, 5 other bonobos might rise to the defense against that aggressive intimidator. Likewise, human beings are thriving happens because of our friendliness, not our brute strength. Our friendliness gave us more fitness. Now, I'm sure we can all think of people who are bullies and try to dominate, and actually get ahead. We had a bully president for 4 years. There are instances, especially in business and in politics. But on the grander scale of evolutionary biology, not so far back in our human history, 50,000 years or so, there were 4 or 5 other human species out there We don't know exactly what happened, but there is evidence that points to our species surviving and thriving, not because of brute strength. Hare and Woods points toward our collaborative and cooperative communication that led to human flourishing. What allowed us to thrive while other humans went extinct was a kind of cognitive superpower, a particular type of friendliness called cooperative communication. We are experts at working together with other people, even strangers. We can communicate with someone we've never met about a shared goal and work together to accomplish it. We have the ability to respect other people and nature as a whole. We have the ability to learn from others in the present and in the past. This capability is the core of the development of language, of culture, and non-destructive technology. How our human ancestors worked together and cooperated makes the case for the survival of the friendliest. The big, strong guy doesn't always win. We should continue to have reasonable laws that keep us from dominating and exploiting nature and each other. We thrive because we are friendly, and we can evolve in new ways to be friendly. We can be inspired by our cute floppy-eared friends and our bonobo cousins. We can start noticing all the vegetables in our garden are really our friends. Even the jalapenos, who are a little too hot-headed for us at times. Even the horseradish, who are a bit too strong for our liking. Even the raspberries that attempt to colonize and invade everything else with their pokey spines and seeds that get stuck in our teeth. All are our friends. May we recognize all the different kinds of friends we have grown over the years, and to thank them for being who they are. Even that pesky woodchuck who ate all my kale. It is in our nature to share, to cooperate, even with strangers. And it is in this spirit that we recognize the abundance not only of our gardens and farms, but of all life. The web we are all part of, all who have survived and thrived and endured to be here now. I listened to a sermon a number of years ago from the late Max Coots, and part of his in the late 80s, part of his late ministry here. He told a story how someone was visiting Canton and was surprised to hear that he was still preaching about gardens and vegetables. Well, we need to continually be reminded that the love we sow grows the friends we make. And that the spirit of sharing, cooperating, this ability to make friends with strangers, even outside of our own species, is our true nature and our most noble calling. And it's the one calling our world continually needs repeating. Amen. So may it be.